Hello and welcome to Lorbeck Luxury Cars. I'm Harry and on this edition of the Friday Drive, I've hit this, our 1979 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am 10th Anniversary Daytona 500. One of only 1,817 produced, this is a serious collector's car. Under the bonnet is the TA 6.6 400 V8, the last of the big block Pontiac engines, and that's made it up to the very desirable optional 4-speed manual transmission sitting in the middle. Finished in platinum silver and with the very specific silver leather interior, this particular example has a very interesting history which makes it a super collectible car. So let's get it on the road and find out a little bit more about this specific Trans Am.
Just a slight feeling of what it's going to be like when they put the pedal to the metal orbs.
That's what they'll be doing in about 10 laps time. Of course, as you say, the infield now is terribly wet, so if anybody slides off into that grass, they're going to pick up speed awfully fast. So there's an awful lot of position scrabbling going on there.
We have one change of drivers in the 35th position back in the control tower. There you see the switch in hand.
So the lights on the pace car you see are off, and that tells the drivers also there's only one lap to go.
The 10th anniversary was the official pace car for the 1979 Daytona 500 and is distinguished from an ordinary run-of-the-mill Trans Am by its oversized Firebird decals, aircraft-inspired red lighting for the gauges, glass panel T-top and embroidered Firebird emblems. Our example was imported to Australia in the early 80s, converted by Pontiac Brisbane and Australian complianced in 1986. Since then, it has had just 2 enthusiast collector owners. And on top of all of that, this is a totally matching numbers car. Engine, gearbox, matching numbers. So it is the real deal. It's the authentic thing. And let's go up a gear so it quietens down a little bit. And speaking of the noise, this is the last of the Pontiacs to have a big V8 before emissions regulations came in. So it has the grunt and it really sounds the business, unlike those wheezy engines that came later. And having benefited from a total restoration, this thing drives exactly as it should, which is, to be honest, I've never driven one before, so I didn't know what I was getting into, but it's surprisingly good. I've got cruise control, no, I don't have cruise control, though I do have power steering and air conditioning, which surprisingly works. Everything actually works in this car. Really, you don't get into many cars like this where everything actually works and is properly sorted. And it's quite a different experience to drive as opposed to many other American cars of the period. Most of them feel very claustrophobic and quite unpleasant to be in. But this with the glass panel roof is really light and airy. It almost sort of feels a bit futuristic in a funny way. And I particularly love this dash with its sort of turned aluminium look. It reminds me of the very early Bugattis, which is something you don't either expect to see in an American car. And I'm drawn back to the engine again. You don't get this sort of sound out of a car anymore. I mean, the funny thing with this engine, even though it's a 6.6 litre 400 CI, it's only rated at 220 horsepower, but from where I'm sitting, it feels a lot more than that. It's got so much bottom end grunt. And it's widely reported that Pontiac actually undersold the amount of power that these put out. Some have been dyno tested and shown to have some 40 horsepower more than what Pontiac said it did. So I suspect this could be one of those cars as well. Though I have to be honest, I did make a mistake not taking these out. It is such a beautiful day and just the perfect day to enjoy a car like this. This is what Melbourne does best. Turn on these beautiful sunny warm days. Ideal to take out your classic car. There's no two ways about it. The Trans Am is an icon and one of the most recognisable American muscle cars ever made. And our example with its matching numbers, low mileage, increasing value and exceptional Australian provenance is the one to add to your classic car collection. So if you're in the market for an American icon, come down to Lorbeck Luxury Cars today and buy our simply awesome 1979 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am 10th anniversary today.